Woo! 2025. Great year for movies. I could have done a top 20. In fact, here you go. Here's 11 through 20 right off the bat. All really great stuff. Let's just get into it. But before we get into it, an honorable mention must go to Chainsaw Man, Reze Arc. Absolutely would have been in my top 10 if I didn't ultimately wind up feeling like it skewed more towards being a feature-length season of television than a standalone film, especially the B-plot, which I think the uninitiated would find somewhat difficult to parse. That being said, you won't find a more outrageously funny, bombastic, horrifying, and compassionate blockbuster. A man made of chainsaws rides a shark man in a battle against an ever-exploding bomb girl. And then in the same movie, there's this long, quiet little sequence where Denji just goes on a big, long date with a girl and learns the value of movies and art and kind of discovers his ability to respond to beauty. And it's just one of the most affecting little moments of everyday life that I saw all year. It could go toe-to-toe with any of the little, indie dramas out there. Great stuff. And the best love story of 2025. I was so deeply invested in this anime dipshit finding and losing love. Number 10, The Long Walk. The Long Walk takes place in a dystopian fascist America, a more dystopian fascist America, where every year young men compete in a basically filmed death march. If they slow down too many times, they get shot in the head until only one remains. This is based on, the bleakest Stephen King story that I personally have ever experienced. And yet there's this inherent decency and solidarity between these young men that's so heartwarming. Every single actor in this is incredible. I hope they all become superstars. The Oscars this year, they unveiled this new category for best casting, and this would be my pick because every single actor makes every single character just feel so full of personality and humanity. Not a single one of these kids feels disposable. I was just begging the screen to make it stop every time it was another kid's turn to fall. The allegorical image of this walk, of keeping one foot in front of the other and sticking together no matter what, even when evil has you right where it wants you, has comforted me at the bottom of many a doom scroll. I saw this in a packed theater, and it's a testament to how suffocating the tension is throughout this entire movie, that when that tension finally breaks in the somewhat triumphant ending, the entire theater just burst into wild cheers. Number 9, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Oh my God, this poor woman. Her goddamn kid won't eat. Her goddamn therapist won't listen. Her goddamn patients won't shut up. Her goddamn husband won't help. Her goddamn roof has a planet-sized hole in it. And she's dealing with all of this by herself. I love how this movie really understands the pacing of being a modern working parent. This daily pylon of constant stressful vigilance with only a few desperate hours of relief after your kid goes to bed, and you can just sit there and finally be alone with yourself, trying to remember what your own thoughts sound like. I've never left my sleeping child alone in their bed to go pick up booze and drink it in another house on the other side of town, but I do understand that exhausted compulsion. Mary Bronstein co-wrote this movie with her husband, Ronald Bronstein, who also co-wrote Uncut Gems and Marty Supreme, and directed Frownland, which is an incredible movie for those who haven't seen it. And you can really feel his love for crushing the audience with increasingly heavy anxiety in this script, with which Mary intensifies with these searing close-ups, especially this incredible opening shot of Rose Byrne's face. Rose Byrne's eyes are just always trembling. They're just it's like they're anxiously darting all the time. You think they're just gonna pop out of her head sometimes, and I never know if I should hug this woman or put her down like Old Yeller. I think it's interesting to compare If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You to Uncut Gems and Marty Supreme because, those movies are about self-destructive men who destroy everything and everyone they come in contact with. Whereas If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is about a woman who self-destructs by trying to do everything that she's supposed to do and finding that she just can't. Number 8, Eddington. Making a jet black comedy about 2020 flashpoints like wearing masks during COVID or the George Floyd protests was a ballsy move. And a lot of people didn't really like how Eddington doesn't have a lot of interest in blaming the fascist organizations who made that year so miserable in any dialectically specific way. But by keeping the logical, political specifics out of focus, it manages to instead hold up a world to like how it feels to live in 2020 like nothing else I've ever seen. As if we're all locked in isolated microwaves that can't really hear each other, screaming at the other microwaves until our heads finally mercifully explode. I won't even get into plot specifics, just go in blind and know that, this movie is going to crank the paranoia and absurdity like up to 11 and then just keep on cranking beyond that. Best use of Katy Perry's firework you ever have or ever will witness. Number 7, It Was Just an Accident. An Iranian man happens by chance upon a man that he is so sure must be the man who tortured him while he was a political prisoner. And so he kidnaps and prepares to execute him, only for doubt to seep in. Is this the actual guy? Because he denies it. And so he gathers a bunch of his fellow former prisoners to help him identify the man and try to figure out what to do with him. This film was inspired by Jafar Panahi's real-life experience in an actual Iranian prison. And it's such a credit to his moral character that he even sees a premise like this as such a difficult debate. I've never known a single second of actual political persecution, and I'm over here sitting on my comfy couch screaming, "Do it! Kill him!" But in all seriousness, this movie is about trying to maintain the line between humanity and fascists, and the fear of losing that humanity if you cross that line even once, even in the pursuit of punishing the punishers. I still don't know if the choice they make at the end was the correct one, and that not knowing really haunts me. Number 6, a poet. Oscar Restrepo has dedicated his life to poetry and has nothing to show for it. Everyone either feels sorry for him or finds him irritating. Most comedies about losers, they get their juice from the loser in question being convinced that they are, in fact, awesome. But not so in A Poet. Oscar wallows in misery, insisting that suffering is the raw material of poetry, even though he hasn't written a poem in over 15 years. He's always moping, and everything he does is wrong. Whether he's drunkenly arguing with high school students about art, or trying to cheer up his sick mother by offering to help her commit suicide. Even when he does the right thing, he does it in the wrong way. Like when he carries a blackout drunk teenager back to her home, but then chickens out of carrying her up the stairs to her mother's apartment at the last minute, and so he just leaves her there. Like, don't worry, it's a comedy, so she's okay. It is the absolute funniest movie and performance of the year, and all the sad ways that this pathetic little man manages to become a kind of idiot hero by the end was unexpectedly moving. Number 5, Weapons. A classroom of children run out of their homes at the exact same time in the middle of the night. Why did they do that? Where did they go? And above all, who is responsible for it? Well, one of the most iconic performances in horror history, of course. I love the way this movie just drip feeds you these little clues throughout the course of the movie in a way that Most people will probably figure out different aspects of what's going on at different times. Even more impressive is the novelistic way this movie is split into chapters, each one from a different character's perspective, all of whom are great. I could have watched an entire movie about any of them. Even sickos who claim to hate horror movies love Weapons, despite its unforgettably gruesome gore every once in a while. The true horror of the movie is the fear of the void, of losing some essential part of yourself that you'll never get back. Every character is dealing with these themes in one way or another, and despite these dour ideas, Weapons is consistently entertaining, with an ending that will have you laughing, hooting and hollering until your neighbors call the cops on you. Number 4, Marty Supreme. A movie about having a talent that you just know could improve your life if only you'd be allowed into the rooms where that talent matters. Marty has what it takes to be a table tennis world champion, but he spends most of this movie trying to lie, charm, cheat, and steal his way into raising enough funds to be allowed to compete. Fans of Uncut Gems will have PTSD flashbacks as a similarly propulsive momentum of escalating disaster ignites our nervous systems, but Marty Supreme is far more generous about also doling out deliriously cathartic victories. Marty is not a good guy, at least not yet. He's still really young and obsessed with his own legend to such a devout degree that nobody else in his life really exists. Marty always comes first. Marty is supreme. And in that final close-up, Marty really truly sees someone else, and I think he feels both the joy and bitterness of that discovery in a way that I think is so compelling. What a fitting end to a movie stuffed so full of memorable supporting characters, performances that endear these people to the audience, even if Marty isn't paying attention to them. It's such a full world. Number 3, Blue Moon. Come on down to the bar to watch balding, 5'0" alcoholic Ethan Hawke get literally drunk as he eats figurative shit. Famed musical lyricist Lorenz Hart endures the opening night party of Immediate Sensation, Oklahoma, a musical which was created by his former partner, Richard Rodgers. It's a movie about a man whose time has passed. The prologue even tells us that 7 months from now he will drink himself to death. And the core tension of the movie is the jocular way that Hart ignores these glum realities with a bombardment of flirty charm. Hart giddily babbles to anyone who will listen about his passion for art and love, even as art and love hammers some of the final nails into his coffin. Things will not turn out okay for Lorenz Hart, but he's so bright and funny that he's always this close to mesmerizing us into thinking otherwise. Number 2, One Battle After Another. A group of revolutionaries go on a wrathful crusade against modern-day American fascism, and the consequences of that spree come back to haunt them 16 years later. I've been complaining for years now about Hollywood's efforts to dramatize the Trump years, amounting to little more than, politics are so divisive these days, why can't we all just get along? And, Eddington is kind of like a best case scenario for that template, I guess. One Battle After Another, like no other major release before it, frames our current political moment as a battle between evil fascists and badass activists. A battle which likely has no end. I've seen some people accuse this movie of not really being about anything, just sort of clothing itself in political aesthetics while having nothing to say. And I don't know, I guess they say that because the plot is less about politics than it is about a man trying to reunite with his daughter. But I think that simple, recognizable, and inherently entertaining structure allows PTA to take us on an odyssey through modern-day American fascism and crucially, those who organize against it, crystallizing the ethos of both sides without ever sliding into cringy pedantry. There is no image from last year that has inspired me more than Benicio del Toro's character just tortoise and the herring his way through this movie, protecting his community, slow and steady, ocean waves, even as much of his operation is torn down due to factors completely outside of his control. He just says, some days you're on offense and some days you're on defense. The struggle will live on. They can't stamp out all of us, so don't go dark on me. There's always more work to be done. The razor-sharp screenplay is so memorable that I feel like I could probably give a scene-by-scene breakdown from memory, and every scene and character is just packed so full of surprises and personality, and I came this close to giving it the #1 spot. This close, but One Battle After Another is not the best movie of the year. The best movie of the year is Yes! 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 Begins with a close-up, an unsettlingly close close-up of our two leads' faces, swapping spit with greedy, slithering tongues. The camera swoops back to reveal that they're at a rich people party. The leads dance through the crowds as different people stuff booze into their faces, just kind of like, And our leading man, just dunks his head into a spiked punch bowl at some point. No dialogue yet. Then he falls into the pool, stays at the bottom until his partner takes her dress off, jumps down, fishes him out, gives him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, after which he coughs the water up, comes back to life, then jumps up and engages in some kind of singing duel against a bunch of Israeli top brass. This is the first couple minutes of Yes, and the rest of the movie is just as dense with absurd, propulsive imagery. Nothing moves like this movie. Both its actors and camera are so relentlessly alive. And Yes is often hilarious in its skewering of Israel's buffoonishly over-militarized culture, but that comedy feels more like an extension of that movement, a restless urge to just reach for any and every release from the horrors of watching your own culture lose its fucking mind. It's one of those rare movies that feels like the director is rewriting the rules of what movies are allowed to look and sound like before your eyes. And rarer still, these experiments never confuse the audience. When our main character tearfully begs his deceased pacifist mother to forgive him for taking a commission to write a new national anthem to cheer on the IDF's slaughter of Palestinians in Gaza, and then is pelted with boulders from the sky. Nobody needs to have that imagery explained to them. It's constantly innovating and experimenting without ever sacrificing clarity. And the tonal tightrope walk that this thing manages is just insane. I cannot believe it's even possible to wrestle with the absolute worst evils of the human condition with such exuberance, even if that energy is just wrung out like a damp rag by the end of it. Yes is still touring around smaller screenings, so you unfortunately can't stream it yet, although if you're in a larger city, maybe they'll have a screening of it pretty soon. When Yes does hit streaming, do not let this criminally under-discussed, instant classic best movie of 2025 pass you by. Yes, yes, yes! Support my work on Patreon. Support my work on Patreon. Support my work on Patreon. Oh boy.